Well, hello everyone. Everyone meaning me at this point. Let's see. Just going to hang out here for a little bit, give people a chance to show up if they decide they want to. Let's see. Oh, that's my microphone intake there. And looks like you can hear me. So that's a good thing. All right. Well, not going to talk too much yet. Just going to say that it's been a while since I have done anything on this channel. Last video I uploaded was my review of She-Hulk, the first episode. When I did the review, more than one episode had been out, had been released, but not the whole series. But I only watched the one episode, and if you watched my review, you'll understand why. And then some of the subsequent things that I read and heard and saw clips of, particularly the finale. If you did not see She-Hulk, you really didn't miss anything. Unless you just, like I said, I think in my video, wanted to see how bad an actual television show could be. Very lacking in imagination and originality. But I don't like to be negative. I do think that although some of the things that have been said, I don't necessarily agree with, but Tatiana Maslany was an excellent performer, a great actor in Orphan Black. If you ever saw any of that show, I didn't see all of the seasons. I watched the first 2 or 3 seasons, and she played multiple characters in that series, and she did such an amazing job of making them all so unique and interesting. So one thing I wanted to talk about is you may notice my beard's a little bigger than perhaps the last time you saw it. That is because at Christmas time, I wanted to have a nice little white beard. It's mostly white. I've still got a little bit of color here, and I've got a little bit of color still up here. I was hoping it would all go white by now, but can't have everything you want. I mean, I from the time I was a teenager, I had white in my sideburns. So I've always had that white. So, which is why I thought maybe I'd go white prematurely, but so far, not yet. And no, I don't smoke. I don't smoke pipes or anything. So the color is not due to tobacco. It's just my natural color. So I wanted to do have the beard for Christmas so I could be Santa Claus. My kids are all adults. It was just for my own indulgence, which my wife is very done with. She does not like the beard and mustache. She doesn't mind the look of it, but she doesn't like the feel of it. And nor does she like breaking out in rashes when she tries to kiss me. So after this stream, it'll be gone. So next time you see me, I probably won't have this much fur on my face. Probably not on my head either. A little overdue for a haircut. So that's the story of Mr. Beard. I'm quite pleased with it. It's come on quite well. I haven't cut it or trimmed it since before Christmas, so it's had some time to grow. One of the things I have not done is trimmed my mustache either, partly because another. We're going to get into some of the reasons as to why I've been offline for so long. Part of the reason is that we moved. And in the course of the move and everything getting packed up and so forth, I managed to misplace my beard trimmer. And I hate using scissors, so I haven't really trimmed anything. And it's kind of annoying to bite into a sandwich or something and get my mustache in my teeth. So I'll be glad to get rid of that too. I have found my trimmer, and I am going to be disposing of the whiskers. So, still not very many people here yet, if any. So I might just, let's see, how's our time going? What is our time? Oh, I've been jabbering for 6 minutes. Another thing I want to talk about is, well, like I said, is the reasons that I've been offline for the last few months. It started off with a family member having a very serious medical issue that took a lot of our attention. That kind of put the kibosh on me doing much of anything like this. I just didn't feel up to dealing with it and doing it. It just wasn't anything I was capable of doing, considering what was going on. Also, as I think I possibly might have mentioned in a previous video, we have been for quite some time in the process of trying to relocate. The situation we were previously in, because as I said, we did move in February. The previous location was not a situation where we were appropriate to be any longer. There was a reason we were there to begin with. That reason ceased. I don't want to get into too many details. Some of you probably already know what they are. But with COVID hitting, the restrictions and requirements for relocating, buying, renting, any sort of housing was so ridiculous that we were just unable to facilitate a move. And then there came a point where a sort of, I don't know, in some views, maybe random termination date was reached by where we were, and felt a bit panicky. But one thing I've discovered over the years is that God answers prayer. And we have, through the course of our my marriage and family life, moved 12 or 13 times. And I figured it out. It averages about 2.4, a move every 2.4 years since I've been married. And every time we've had to move, God has provided us a place, the means, and it's worked out. Now, I was particularly concerned this past time, because of the requirements that we just did not meet. I don't know how much detail I want to get into that, but it was something that, to me, the only way it could possibly work out was if there was a miracle. And that miracle, God performed that miracle. And now we are in a different location. May not be 100% ideal. I don't really have an office. I'm doing my videos from the living room, which, if it works, it works. Um, and I'm finally getting back into the process of doing this. And finally, I wanted to show off my beard for my video, my stream here. So I will be removing this, much to the relief of my wife. So that's what's been going on for the last, well, actually a couple of years, the house hunt. Um, and once we got here, things were in such an upheaval. We packed everything up, and it's been hard to find everything. I actually just located my camera and headphones, my webcam and headphones, just a day or two ago, and finally got this all set up so I could do these things. And I will get back to doing, the recorded reviews and so forth. I might, I'll probably, I don't know, I may or may not. I'm going to talk about Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and I'm going to talk about Black Adam. So I don't know if I'll do a full review on those or not. I might yet. I have not yet seen Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I have not seen it yet. I do want to see it. I haven't yet. I have actually finally just watched the first season of Picard. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And I also watched the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which I'm going to probably talk about that a little bit. But first things first, let's slip back in time a little bit. Andor, I don't remember. I don't think I finished reviewing that one. I think it was toward the end of that series when I did my last video. And I had overall, I kind of enjoyed that series, Andor. I've heard so much vitriol against the Disney Plus series, and I understand a lot of it. I really do. For instance, Disney itself has outright come out and said what a horrible company they are, and how they want to indoctrinate your children and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into that too much. I just want to talk about the stories themselves. And with Andor, the biggest issues I had with that, there was only two, really, the big ones. Number one was, I think that was a third or fourth episode that was just absolute filler. Nothing really happened in it at all. There was hardly any character development, any story movement, or anything. Then the only other thing was, particularly in the workhouse, the prison facility where they were building the parts, the lack of aliens in that. The Empire is notoriously non-human. And the fact that they would have that many people in a facility without I don't remember seeing any non-human species there. They were all humanoids. There might have been some slight variations there. I can't remember for sure. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I remember noting that there was very few. One thing I did note was the white clinical THX1138 feeling of that, which I believe was 100% intentional. It really made me think of THX1138, that George Lucas film. The clinical white walls, bleak, hopeless environment, very much that feel to it. But the Andor character itself, I found him kind of interesting, and the overall story arc I thought kind of interesting. The mother thing at the end was a little far-fetched, I thought, but yeah, it's okay. Nothing drastic. And then I had finished. I had finished my reviews of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and expressed my concerns with that. Now, overall, I actually enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, even though it obviously had some issues, uh, some continuity issues, and I'm not talking about the battles with between Obi-Wan and Anakin Darth Vader. I really think that they did not violate the original timeline. Because there's several things that Darth Vader says that leave it open that there could have been other things that happened between the Mustafar fight in Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, or original Star Wars in 1977. So there's a very strong evidence that those things could have happened. There's been some criticism about Obi-Wan's character at the beginning of the story. But I think in my video, I kind of addressed that a little bit too, because it kind of made sense to me that after all he'd been through, that he might be a little bit broken, being betrayed by Anakin, having the Jedi Order almost completely wiped out without any second thought. The clones turning on them like that. I mean, obviously it was because of that programming and that chip that was the organic chip that was implanted in them, which caused them to turn. Now there was a few of them that were able to recognize it and fight it, but for the most part, the clones just turned on them and wiped them out. And that had to be a little bit taxing on his psyche. So the fact that he was kind of a broken man at the beginning of that, I didn't find that far-fetched. I thought that was very interesting, actually. He did end up finding his way back, and some of the choices that were made along the way, maybe I didn't think were all that great, particularly when anyway, I talk about it in the video. I'm not going to get into all that now. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, for the most part, probably about 70% of it I liked. The other 25, I did not. I really liked the final battle. I thought there were some really interesting things done there. Did they do a crazy, long, drawn-out lightsaber battle like they did in Revenge of the Sith? No, not really. But it had some interesting dramatic points to it and choices made. And when Obi-Wan finally learned his lesson and did the Force push before somebody else Force pushed him, it was kind of a rewarding scene to see him do that. So then we move on to The Mandalorian Season 3. Let's talk about that for a minute. Was it as good as Season 1? No. Was it as good as Season 2? Some of it. Was it as good as the last 2 episodes of Season 2? No, not even close. Was it as good as the 2 Mandalorian episodes in Book of Boba Fett? No, it was not. There were some parts of it that I enjoyed. I thought it was interesting to see the Mythosaur show up That was kind of interesting. I was kind of hoping they would do more with it in the season, but the fact that it showed up was kind of interesting. And that Bo-Katan saw it. I don't know where they're going to go with that. If there's going to be a season 4, I don't know. Suppose it's still possible. Even though season 3 wasn't that great, I think still got a good amount of viewing because people wanted to know where it was going to go and what was going to happen with it. Probably the 2 most disappointing episodes, and if you haven't seen it yet, I am going to talk some spoilers here, and I think I may have already talked some spoilers here, so forgive me if I did, and you haven't seen any of this yet. But yeah, I'm going to warn you now, I'm probably going to talk some spoilers. But the episode with Dr. Pershing, I had really mixed feelings about that, and I can understand why some people absolutely hated it. It really didn't have anything to do with The Mandalorian. However, it did give a little bit of a slice of life in the Star Wars universe that wasn't part of the main storylines. It was peripheral too. It kind of touched on the Mandalorian storylines. It was relevant to it, but it really didn't have a whole lot of bearing on it in the end. It was basically, well, this is what happened to Dr. Pershing. Whether they'll ever bring him back again, I kind of doubt it because he doesn't seem to have a mind left. But we'll see. It was still kind of interesting. There was also people, or I heard somebody mention or complain that in that episode they talked about how Imperial technology was banned, but then they used Imperial technology on Dr. Pershing as a punishment or a redirection or whatever. Seemed a bit of a contradiction there. So the consistency in writing is really not great. Although I suppose you look at the original Star Wars, there's a lot of places where you can look at inconsistencies there too. There's no such thing as a perfect movie or a perfect story, but blatant contradictions is another thing. So that was one of the things that kind of disappointed me about that episode. In spite of finding it just a little bit interesting, it was also a little bit kind of boring because it really had very little bearing on anything else. So yeah, I'm rambling all about that one. The other episode that was a little perhaps off-putting was the Jack Black episode. Seeing him in Star Wars was a little jarring to begin with. Although he wasn't the worst part of the episode. Probably his wife was. Whoever that actress was had very little acting ability. Very poorly said lines, very poor performance, and it kind of took you just completely out of the story because those characters were so unbelievable, not real, not convincing. Jack Black may be a hair more convincing, but really not that great. And even I was disappointed with Christopher Lloyd's performance. I've seen him do 10 times better than that. He was so melodramatic and over the top. It was distracting. What I did enjoy, found very amusing, was Din Djarin kicking the super battle droids to try and get them to react. Ended up working too, but trying to get the super battle droids to react. That was amusing. I enjoyed that. But there was really very little else in that story that was interesting. And then I actually thought it was interesting the way that they got the Darksaber back into the hands of Bo-Katan Kryze. Some people were looking for a fight between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and they didn't get that. Frankly, I was relieved because I was not looking forward to that. It seemed like it would be too cliche and overdone. So when they used the Morlocks, that was another. Yeah, I forgot to mention the Morlocks. In an earlier episode, the episode where the thing happens that ends up getting the Darksaber back to Bo-Katan Kryze. There are creatures in the cave that Din Djarin goes into that attack him that look almost identical to the Morlocks from the H.G. Wells movie, Time Machine, The Time Machine. And I'm thinking of the one from the 70s. I don't remember the Morlocks as much from the remake in the thousands, but it reminded me of the Morlocks from that movie. Now maybe I'm mixing the two up, but they were similar designs, and they looked like these creatures that attacked Din Djarin. That's all I could think of when I was watching them. So with Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was Lola 59 that made me think of Batteries Not Included, and in Mandalorian Season 3, it was the Morlocks, or these creatures that made me think of the Morlocks from Time Machine. Okay, so are we done bashing on that? Yeah, I did like the last episode of Mandalorian. Was it great? Was it wonderful? Nah, but it was fun. Enjoyed seeing all the Mandalorians flying around, and enjoyed seeing the fight with Grand Moff Gideon. That was interesting. And yeah. So I've not been giving ratings, my 5 salutes that I usually do. If I do a formal review video on any of the movies that I'm going to talk about, I might do that then. But right now, I don't think I'm going to worry about saluting anything. Mandalorian Season 3 overall, maybe 3 salutes at most. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think I gave 4 salutes, mostly because of that last episode, and I took off 1 salute for Third Sister character and some of the other episodes that one episode about the rescue of Leia. That was so bad. That was just full of badness. The 2 people 6 feet thing, I can't get over that. So let's see, what do we want to talk about next? Well, I guess I don't know how this goes chronologically, but Black Adam. I did go see Black Adam. In fact, I think I saw it twice. Yes, I did. Usually, if I really like a movie, I'll see it multiple times if I can. Although now, with my current situation, I can't physically get to the theater as often as I might like to. So I'm usually limited to 1 viewing, although I might like to see it more times. But Black Adam, I actually enjoyed. Did I like The Rock as Black Adam? Not really. He's not that great an actor. I think he probably did some of his best acting in this that I've seen. But when it gets to the emotional stuff, he just doesn't have the range. He can, quote unquote, smolder. I call it scowling. But I was told it's smoldering. I'm not sure I buy that, but that's what I was told. He's just not that great an actor. But the storyline I really enjoyed. I think they may have. Black Adam was not a character I've read some in the comic books, but not a lot of. So I'm not 100% familiar with his comic book origins. And I know he's gone back and forth from being a villain to a villain, hero. And he's actually part of the Justice League now. But the origin story, I think they might have made a few little changes to. But to me, it wasn't. I thought it made it more interesting. I didn't think it was that drastic. Some people might disagree with me. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the most. Was it the greatest superhero movie ever made? No, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed the action, and I absolutely loved Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. He really stole that movie. I think. I hope. I would really wish that they would do a Dr. Fate movie with Pierce Brosnan. However, that doesn't seem to be likely. Which brings me to a point that I have heard over and over again with Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash, and the upcoming Aquaman movie. And that is, what's the point in seeing these if they're just going to reboot them all? Well, I don't know. When Superman the movie came out, did people know there was going to be a Superman 2? No. They just went and saw the movie because it was good. Superman 2 came out. Did they know there was going to be a Superman 3? No, they went and saw it because it was good. And I'm not sure very many people knew that when Empire Strikes Back came out or Star Wars came out that there was going to be subsequents of those. They just went and saw them because they were good and they were enjoyable and they were fun. And why not? I mean, Black Adam is a story in itself. It doesn't have to continue, or if it does. Another thought on this is, if you look at the comic books, you have different artists, you have different writers, you have different stories with the same characters. Writing different artists and writers that do Superman, different artists and writers that do Flash, and they do different storylines and they do different takes on the characters. How is this any different if we have a Zack Snyder-ish Shazam story, and then after we get a couple of those, another artist comes along, does their version of it? That doesn't seem much different to me than what happens in the comic books all the time. Not so much now, as they're more canon conscious than they used to be. But that used to be the case all the time, that you would get one story 1 month, and then a month or two later, it might be a completely different story with completely different. I mean, look at Superboy and Superman, and now there are all these different parallel universes. It seems to me people are putting way too much weight on who's making the movie, who's starring in the movie, as opposed to what the story is. That's my humble opinion anyway. So frankly, when Shazam came out, when Black Adam came out, I knew these changes were coming. It's been in the news for a while. But I wanted to see the movie. I wanted to see what the story was. And if it was any good, I wanted to enjoy it. If it wasn't, then I would have said so. But I enjoyed Black Adam. And frankly, I enjoyed Shazam Fury of the Gods. I really enjoyed that one a lot. I loved all of the um, mythology that was included in that, mythological characters, and how they. Anyway, I won't get into too much of that, but I enjoyed that a lot. Was it as good as the first one? No, it was not. One of the complaints I have about Fury of the Gods is the lack of Billy Batson. He's there. Asher Angel does play Billy Batson in this, but he does not have the screen time or character development that he had in the first one. Now, that's understandable. The first one was more of an origin character, so it was actually had to be kind of a little bit more about Billy Batson because he was going to be Billy Batson before he became Shazam. But I would have liked to have seen more of Billy Batson in this, more of his character development and story from his point of view. Zachary Levi is okay. He's fine as Shazam. But when he's playing Billy Batson, I'd prefer to actually have Billy Batson, Asher Angel be Billy Batson, and Shazam be Zachary Levi. So I thought it was just a little over Zachary Levi'd in this one. But I also loved Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu playing the female villainous characters, villainous or villainess, either way you say it, both works. I enjoyed them; they were good, and their dynamic, their character relationship was really interesting, and this actually focused a little bit more on the Freddie Freeman character, which was interesting. I enjoyed that. The actor that plays him gets a little carried away sometimes, it seemed to me, and kind of took me a little bit out of the story. But for the most part, I really enjoyed him and enjoyed that character. And seeing some more aspects of the Rock of Eternity was interesting. If I were to give that one a salute rating, I'd probably give that probably 4, because it was really an enjoyable story, and I had fun watching it. And I did see that one twice. I saw it once with my son, once with my daughter, and they both enjoyed it too. So there you go. There's 3 people that I know that enjoyed it, and now you know. So recommend that if you get a chance to see it, see it. It's going to probably be on HBO Max before too long. Probably by the time I get this video done. Okay, maybe not that soon. But let's see. Oh yeah, today I saw the new Flash trailer 2, which showed me a couple of interesting things in it. Now, I haven't quite figured out how to share my screen on this thing yet. So I'm going to do something really quick here, and hopefully it won't take too long. I want to see if I can find this. Oops. I'm looking in the wrong place. There was a couple of scenes in that um, okay, Flash trailer 2. There was a couple of shots, and it looked like, oh no, it wasn't the Flash one. It was the Aquaman one. That's what it was. Yeah, the new Aquaman, Lost Kingdom. It looks like Killer Shark is actually going to appear in this. It's certainly, if not Killer Shark, a similar race shows up in the preview, which looks very interesting. Again, I am very much looking forward to Aquaman 2. I understand the controversy with certain actresses or actors in the film, um, but I don't think that should kill the film just because somebody did something stupid outside the film. Similar to Ezra Miller in Flash. Yeah, he did criminal stuff, but I still think if the movie is interesting and well done, then why not give it a chance? I mean, I don't want to support necessarily Ezra Miller and his craziness, but he's not the only person that was in the movie. He's not the only person that worked on the movie. And chances are he's not going to be Ezra Miller. I mean, he's not going to be Flash ever again. That would be pretty bad decision making on the part of the movie makers. All right, so am I going to go see The Flash? Probably. And I'll probably do a review on it. And Aquaman, yes, I'm definitely going to go see that. I love the first Aquaman. The world building in that was amazing. The story was excellent. The casting I thought was great. Jason Momoa was brilliant casting for Aquaman, Arthur Curry. And then, of course, Tamara Morrison as his dad. I fell in love with Tamara Morrison like years and years ago. Um, he did was it the Barbarella movie I first saw him in? Barbarella? No, not Barbarella. Barbed Wire. That's what it was. And stupid bad movie, but I liked him. And he was in Green Lantern. He was the one with the bad one with Ryan Reynolds. Um, the he's been in a lot of different films. Oh, obviously Clone Wars. In not Clone Wars, but in Attack of the Clones, he was Jango Fett and the clones. So I enjoyed the fact that they cast him as Arthur's father, and Nicole Kidman as the Queen um, of Atlantis. That was good casting. And Dolph Lundgren, seeing him as Mara's father was very enjoyable. Willem Dafoe, well, Amber Heard, of course. Probably not the best of casting there, but she looked the part. The costume and the makeup and hair that they did on her was excellent. So yeah, and some of the scenes in that film, the original Aquaman, were taken directly out of comic books. They were almost panel for panel. Some of those shots, especially the shot where they're being attacked by the deep, the crack creatures. I forget what they were called. But when they're diving down into the water and the creatures are coming down around them, that was almost a direct panel from the comic book. Um, it's beautifully shot, and I love the 3D aspect of the films, um, and it looked great in 3D. I have the 3D Blu-ray. Love watching that. Made my wife motion sick, but I enjoyed it. So the Flash. Now let's talk about the Flash. That has some very interesting potential too. I'm very curious to see the ads. There was a trailer that just dropped yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which. Trailer 2, and the trailers are focusing a lot on the Michael Keaton Batman. And this newest one featured his catchphrase, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." Interesting to see that. Be interesting to see how that fits into the story. But my thought or question, I guess, to be answered only when the film comes out, is the trailers are focusing a lot on Michael Keaton Batman, but how much is he actually going to be in the film? I honestly think it's going to be disproportionate to what they're showing in the trailer. I don't think he's going to be in it as much as they are making it look, because of all of Ezra's antics. They're trying to downplay that, downplay his presence in the film, but it's the Flash movie. It's not Batman movie. It's not Affleck movie. It's not Keaton movie. It's the Flashpoint movie. And if you've seen the Flashpoint thing that was done on WB, or if you've read the Flashpoint book comic series, or if you've watched the animated Flashpoint movie, then you know it's primarily a Barry Allen story and very much centers on the Flash. So I don't think this movie is going to be any different, which in the end could hurt it because of Ezra Miller's insanities. And honestly, I hope he's getting the mental health help that he needs, because he seriously needs it. If his antics can be any indicator, and I think they might be. So, those are my thoughts on The Flash. Another trailer that was out recently was the Blue Beetle trailer, which I'm like, I haven't really read any Blue Beetle comic books. My only experience with Blue Beetle was it Young Justice series he was in? I think it was Young Justice. There's a couple of animated series that I watched with my son, Teen Titans and Young Justice, and I get those mixed up in my head sometimes. But I think he was Young Justice. And there was a Blue Beetle before this character from Young Justice. And but the film is based on the Young Justice character, I do believe. I think that's what they're basing it on. I mean, it's the same character name. I'm not going to say it because I don't like it, but well, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's the problem. They were calling him Hyman in the movie, but I thought it was Jaime. I'm confused on that one. I guess that's why I don't want to say it, but I did. So there you go. Frankly, I thought the character in the animated series was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to know more about him. So when I found out they were going to do a live action film on it, I thought it was very interesting. However, some of what I'm seeing in the trailer gives me pause. Some of it seems very true to the story that I saw in the anime series, and some of it seems kind of contrived and not very believable. One of the things about superhero movies, they work better when you can ground them, not necessarily ground them, but ground them in believable emotion and believable, honest reactions. Um, and if you can't do that, then it makes it awfully hard to buy the craziness that takes place in them. There has to be something that you can, on a human level, relate to. And some of that was very much that in the trailer that I saw. Some of it was not. Um, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because one of the things I mentioned, I forgot to mention this about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. There was actually a third thing I didn't like so much about the film, and it was kind of a double-edged sword because part of it I liked and part of it I didn't, and that was the amount of humor or funny that was in the movie. I think they went a little overboard with the humor, although most of it was good and fit and was funny. Some of it went just a little bit far. And not that it went too far, it's just it was the volume of it, the sheer volume of ha 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 in the film. Um, just seemed to get a little bit much, in my opinion. So those are the three things that I had a small complaint about, but not enough to not like the movie. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'll watch it again. I know I will. Probably as soon as it comes out on HBO Max, I'll watch it then too. Um, and I've already watched Shazam. Excuse me, um, Black Adam a couple of times on uh, uh, on HBO Max, soon to become just Max. That's an interesting thing. Um, so, moving on from there, let's talk about Hogwarts Legacy. I did actually get the game um, on Steam, which is not necessarily the way I would have preferred to get it, but it was the way I got it. I've actually played it a bit. It's a little bit more involved game than the type I generally tend to play, but it is a load of fun. The few complaints I have about it are just kind of silly things like if I cast a spell at somebody that's walking by, nothing happens. They don't respond. They don't levitate. I can't Alohomar. I mean, not Alohomar. I can't Wingardium Leviosa them or Leviosa or do those things. Accio, can't Accio them. Um, just nothing happens. And they don't even complain, which you would think there'd be some kind of a reaction. Again, I guess that's a lot. There's a lot built into this game, so that might be asking a little too much. I don't know, but it was. It's a fun game to play. There's a lot of different challenges, some more fun than others. The map to me seems pretty extensive. I mean, you've got the Hogwarts Castle, you've got Quidditch Pitch, you've got um, some surrounding little towns, Hogsmeade, of course, Forbidden Forest. It takes place well before the Harry Potter stories and well before it's the late 1800s. I can't remember if they say the exact date, but late 1800s is when this takes place. So it's before the Crimes of Grindelwald series and all of that. So there's very unfamiliar characters, but with familiar names. Like there's a Professor Fig, there's Professor Weasley, um, and other characters' names that come up that sound somewhat familiar. Um, but the main character is someone brand new. You're a new student. Um, the storyline is actually kind of interesting, and the storyline helps you build your skill set as well. Your abilities are part of the storyline. Excuse me. Need some water there. Um, so I think there's a lot of room for a lot of play in that. And there's also room for them to provide um, extra missions and downloadable content at some point. I'm assuming they're probably going to do that. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing that. Problem is, it doesn't work on my computer, so I have to use my son's computer, displace him if I want to use it. So I haven't played it as much as I might like to. And like I said, it's a lot more involving than the kind of games I like to play. Like I'm more of a Tomb Raider and Just Cause type of character player. Some of the old James Bond games I liked, but I like having a mission. I like having kind of an open world, but I like having missions where I can go get things complete and complete a storyline. Um, too many side quests get me distracted and I forget where I am. I guess that's my failing. All right. Well, before I move on, before I finish up, one last thing I want to talk about. That's something I really, really like to talk about. That's my friend back here. I never have finished him. I got his helmet made, but I haven't painted it yet. It's supposed to have like a maple leaf pattern on there. And these are supposed to be red. But this, if no one knows, is my friend Captain Canuck. He hangs out with Batman and Superman back here. If I don't knock him down. There we go. Yeah, he and Superman and Batman are buddies back. You can't even see Batman. He's off the screen. They hang out back there. But Captain Canuck, now I think I've talked about this a couple of times, but he is a Canadian superhero, created in 1975 by Richard Cumley and Ron Leishman, published by Richard Cumley Comics. And in 2015, well, actually before that, there was a reboot on the website. I think 2013 was when the web series was done. And in 2015, there was a new comic book series rebooted and relaunched with a new version. Now, this costume that you see here is based on the new version. The 1975 costume was a bit different than that. But he's been going through some interesting story arcs in was it 2020 2020, I think, was the invasion story arc. And at the end of that, he was 221. I can't even remember the dates now, but anyway, he was sent to another planet. Let's put it that way. And in his story arc that's been ongoing since then, Canuck Beyond, he was on a different planet and trying to figure out, first of all, how to rescue the people there that were under the oppression of his villain, his primary villain in the original series was Mr. Gold, George Gold. And Mr. Gold was also at the end of the invasion story arc sent to this beyond planet where he took over. And so Captain Canuck, Thomas Evans, had to help rescue that planet from Mr. Gold. And he is also trying to figure out how to get back to Earth. And in his absence, Michael Evans, Thomas's brother, who owns the company Equilibrium, who employed Captain Canuck for a while, has employed a new Captain Canuck. And this new Captain Canuck is trying to fill Thomas Evans' shoes as best he can. He doesn't have the same enhancements that, well, I'm not going to get into that too much. He sort of does and doesn't, because he gets technology from Michael Evans, which Michael Evans got from the same source as Thomas Evans. Anyway, I don't want to get into that too much, but there's also a West Coast Captain Canuck, which is a new series that started, I think, this year. And there's been 1 or 2 episodes. I've read the first one so far. And David Semple is West Coast Captain Canuck. And he has taken on the mantle to try and take down some I don't want to give away too much, but some bad guys. So there's been a lot going on in that department. If anyone's interested in Captain Canuck, I will leave some links in the comment section or in the section below. I didn't think to do that ahead of time, but I will do that. So I guess at this point, don't see that anybody has any questions or comments that I should add to. I hope if you ever get a chance to watch this, that you'll enjoy it, find it interesting. And if you have any questions or comments or anything you want me to talk about or dispute with me, please leave a comment in the comment sections below. And have yourselves a great day. Thank you very much.